The Renault Scenic has always been a bit of a trendsetter. It was officially Europe's first MPV, and Renault themselves couldn't even predict its success. At first, the factory where it was built was churning out 450 cars a day, and eventually they were churning out 2,500. Now in its third generation, it's undergone a bit of an upgrade. There are a whole bunch of new bits on offer in this 7-seater. There are upgrades on the outside, on the inside, including the obvious Bose sound system, and in some cases, under the bonnet, including some highly technical yet surprisingly boring elements from F1, like transverse water flow and something called U-Flex oil ring control technology. The first two generation Scenics were basically standard issue MPVs. They were a bit frumpy without any of that flair that the French are so famous for, apparently. Now, well, let's just say there aren't too many MPVs that can pull off gloss black plastic accents and chrome and LED daytime running lights and black 17-inch wheels. Okay, the wheels are a bit too much, but the rest of the package just really comes together well. Renault haven't just tweaked a few things for this update, they've completely redone the front end right back to the A-pillar. There are a few new pieces at the back as well, but the rear lights with their wraparound design are one of the strongest features of the whole car. There are a lot of attributes you could ascribe to the look of a car in this class, but stylish generally isn't one of them. The Grand Scenic, though, has that sort of air about it, thanks in part to its dimensions. For a 7-seater, it really doesn't look that big either. Doesn't look too big, doesn't feel too big either. Ordinarily, MPVs are made to be a little bit over easy, so they've got soft suspension and super easy steering, but the Scenic feels more together than that. It doesn't lean in the corners, and it doesn't feel like the suspension is made of sponges and chewing gum. There was no mention of F1 technology related to the suspension, but be that as it may, the Grand Scenic carries its size really well and drives more like a regular car than anything else. There are two engine options for the Grand Scenic, the 130 DCI, which is the most powerful diesel engine in the world for its size, and this, the 2-litre DCI, with 110 kilowatts and 360 newton meters. Renault's claimed fuel consumption figure is 7 litres per 100 kilometers, and the CO2 count comes in at 184 grams per kilometer. Matched to the 6-speed auto, this motor does a good job of shifting the Grand Scenic, even though it's not the quietest diesel in the world. On the upside, despite having to push a fair weight around, there's no delay in the power delivery. That dose of torque is available from just 2,000 RPM. The Scenic is just a nice, honest drive, even without all the toys of this top spec level, which include that Bose sound system I mentioned earlier, which is a very nice thing in itself. But in here it has an added bonus. You can use it to mask the sound of the automatic air conditioning, which is, if you leave it in auto mode, really irritating. Moaning about the aircon may sound a bit like nitpicking, but in this country it's part of every drive. Like a bad automatic gearbox, the aircon tends to hunt between full blast or 90% full blast for the set temperature, and it gets very tiring. But that's by far the worst part of the interior, because as for the rest, they haven't just focused on practicality, they've made it really pretty. You've got this slim display area for the speedo and the sat-nav. There's gloss black and silver everywhere, and the whole thing just smells of elegance. But at the same time, there is real practicality, clever storage spots, good ergonomics, and of course, space. Standard kit in this Bose model includes Bluetooth, electric leather seats with Alcantara accents, dual-zone climate control, keyless operation, and a reversing camera. For those in the back, a full second row of seats and a pop-up pair of seats in the third row. We wouldn't recommend you try stuff anything bigger than an 8-year-old in the back though, and preferably one that's the size of a 6-year-old, and preferably for very short trips. Space in the third row is limited. At 380,000 Rand, your options for a 7-seat MPV aren't exactly limited. For that money or less, you could get a Nissan Qashqai, you could get 2 different types of Chevrolet, you could get a Dodge Journey or even a VW Touran. On paper, the Scenic competes with all of them really well. It delivers an easy drive and usable space, but it's got something that no other MPV has, and that's a real sense of style. A drivetrain focused on smooth, unfussed progress is at the core of the Grand Scenic, with both engine and gearbox contributing to the overall ease of use. Add a level of style only a French MPV could muster and loads of spec, and the result is mostly pleasing. In fact, the rude climate control is our only complaint.